Part 8. Complicated Love. Lisa was seen still sitting on the sofa in the front room, with her eyes constantly watching her door many times. It felt like she was waiting for someone there. Where is the wild woman? Until this afternoon, she still hasn't come back. Or maybe he wants to leave the house again. I have to follow her, Lisa muttered, then got up from the sofa. Lisa, who was just a step away from her place, suddenly stopped when she saw the door to her house was open, and there was Ginny, who had just entered. "You know your house too," Lisa said curtly. "Sorry, there was Rose," Ginny replied slowly, while glancing at her husband's face. "Lisa, have you eaten?" "Not yet." The answer is short, then reopens the laptop which she had closed earlier. "I already cooked." "Then, why don't you eat?" Jenny said, confused. "Usually, if you don't eat, the reason why?" asked Lisa curtly. "Yeah, because you're not hungry," answered Ginny innocently. "You already know the answer. You're still asking," answered Lisa furiously. Ginny just took a deep breath because she was annoyed with Lisa's answer. Then, she got up and walked away to his room. Lisa just watched Ginny from behind. "Oh yeah, Jisoo was here," Lisa said while following Ginny's steps. "I want to take a shower. No need to talk about it," Ginny said, then took a towel and went straight to the bathroom without paying attention to Lisa. Not long in the bathroom, Ginny came back out and looked refreshed, while Lisa sat leaning on the bed playing her cell phone, occasionally glancing at Ginny. "He also just wanted to apologize to you for yesterday's matchmaking problem," Lisa said casually while playing on her cell phone screen. Ginny just stayed silent and focused on drying and combing her hair. Then, she lay down on the bed while playing with his cell phone. Meanwhile, Lisa, who was not cared for, could only pay attention to her wife, who was not acting like she usually did. Apparently, he used to hope to be able to marry G. So it was obvious he was very disappointed with Jisoo when I spoke to him, Lisa thought. "Please accompany me to eat," Lisa asked slowly. "Okay," Jenny answered quickly. Ginny put her cell phone everywhere. She got out of bed and followed Lisa's footsteps into the kitchen. Arriving in the kitchen as usual, Ginny took food for her husband, and occasionally Lisa's eyes watched Ginny closely. Actually, what kind of woman is she? Why is it so hard for me to recognize this wild woman? Never mind. Why am I thinking about it? Lisa thought. Jenlisa had dinner together. Not a single word could be heard from the two of them, only the sound of spoons and forks touching plates broke the atmosphere in their kitchen. After eating, Lisa went back into the room. She took the laptop and sat on the sofa to do her work. Not long after, Ginny came in with a cup of tea for her husband. "I went to bed early," Ginny said goodbye after placing the tea on the table right in front of Lisa. Lisa just kept quiet and focused on her work without paying attention to Ginny, who was already laying down on the bed. The next morning, sunlight refracted the bedroom window. That morning, Lisa looked like she had just woken up because of the glare of the sun. He saw Ginny was not in bed. Lisa could already guess where her wife was. She immediately got out of bed and went into the bathroom. While in the kitchen, Ginny was preparing breakfast for her husband. However, in the midst of her busy schedule, Ginny heard a knock on the door from outside her house. "Sammy," Ginny said quietly, after opening the door and seeing the woman standing right in front of her. "Hey Jenny," greets Sammy by waving her hand. What are you doing here?" Jenny asked, confused. "I came here to meet Lisa." "Where is she?" asked Sammy by looking into the house. "What do you need?" Jenny asked with a forced smile. "Indeed, Lisa never told you about who I am?" asked Sammy with a smile. Apparently what Aunt meant Lisa's girlfriend was this Sammy, the Sammy INDO. Wonder Lisa is not at all interested in marrying me. Evidently, her taste is as beautiful as this, rich too, Ginny thought. "Oh, so you're Lisa's boyfriend?" Ginny tries to confirm. "You already know," replies Sammy confidently. "Please come in and have a seat." "I'll call Lisa inside," said Ginny, trying to be friendly. Ginny left Sammy in the living room to go to the room, meet Lisa, and in the room, Lisa looks neat with her work clothes. "Lisa, there's your lover in front," Ginny said as she picked up the towels and dirty clothes that Lisa had used. "Don't just talk," Lisa replied in an annoyed tone. "I'm not talking nonsense. Really, she did say your lover. Come out and meet her soon," Jenny said curtly, and left the room. Lisa came out to the living room, and there she saw Sammy sitting on the sofa. Sammy, who saw Lisa, was about to approach her. She immediately stood up and put on his sweetest smile. "What are you doing here?" Lisa asked while frowning. "I came here to meet you. I brought your favorite food and this is all I cook myself," replied Sammy by showing the lunchbox she brought. "Ginny already made me breakfast. Just take your food home," said Lisa sarcastically. "Lisa, I've gone to great lengths to cook for you, but you don't respect me at all," replied Sammy, looks sad. "Really? I told you to cook." "No, did I? After all, I am married, so I expect my wife's cooking more than someone else's," Lisa answered sarcastically. Lisa went to the kitchen, leaving Sammy from there and the shameless Sammy still following Lisa from behind. Ginny was seen arranging the food she had just cooked on the dining table. Lisa sat and looked at Ginny, making the husband and wife look at each other for a moment. It wasn't long before Ginny's eyes turned to Sammy, who had just been seen entering the kitchen. There happened to be Sammy. Let's have breakfast together," Jenny said with a smile. "No, she's already going home," said Lisa, who immediately sat down. "I'll have breakfast with you guys. Thanks, Jen. Have offered me breakfast together," Sammy said with a wide smile and immediately sat next to Lisa. Now the three of them sat at the dining table, and when Ginny was about to get food for her husband, Sammy suddenly stopped her hand. "Ginny, let me get some food for you, Lisa," said Sammy, taking the spoon from Ginny's hand. "No need. Let Ginny get the food for me. It's her obligation. You're only here as a guest, so just put yourself in your position," Lisa said, annoyed. "But Lisa." "Quick, get it?" Lisa said by looking furiously at Ginny's eyes. Ginny was forced, took the spoon back from Sammy's hand and continued to get food for her husband. After breakfast, Lisa went to the room to get the car keys and his briefcase, then left from there to go to the office. However, suddenly Sammy's voice stopped her footsteps. "Lisa, can I come home with you?" said Sammy so hopefully. There are many taxis on the highway, don't be spoiled, Lisa replied curtly. Lisa resumed her footsteps to go to her car, and as soon as possible drove his car to go to his office without paying attention to Sammy and Ginny's stares. Meanwhile, Sammy looked sad because of Lisa's indifferent attitude towards her. However, Ginny, who looked so innocent, actually comforted her. Lisa's nature is like that, coaxed Ginny while gently rubbing Sammy's back. Lisa, always being cold, but she's never spoken rudely, like before. It seems she's really depressed after marrying you. I already know everything from Jiso, said Sammy slowly. That seems to be true. Lisa, depressed to marry me? Even Aunt and Sammy said that Lisa was actually a good person, but to me Ginny thought. Don't worry, this marriage is only temporary. Besides, Lisa and I always keep our distance. Really? Said Jenny. Is it true what you said? Asked Sammy so excitedly. Of course, what else should we do with this forced marriage? Replied Ginny smiling. Thank you, Ginny. I hope you will always keep your distance from Lisa, said Sammy happily. Sammy said goodbye to Ginny and Ginny returned to the kitchen to clean the dining table and the dirty dishes that are still scattered there. Ginny looked dreamy unlike usual. At that time, it seemed that Ginny was so disturbed by Sammy's words, who inadvertently seemed to blame her for Lisa's rude attitude change. Ginny felt sad, making herself look completely unfocused, and even, accidentally, his arm hit the glass so that it fell and shattered under the floor. Good grief, surprise awakened. Ginny squatted down and started to clean up the broken glass shards that were scattered about. However, Ginny, who was still not fully focused, the shards of the glass scratched his hand until it bled. Gosh, how reckless I am, screams in pain. Ginny sucked the blood that came out on her index finger. She went to the room to look for the medicine box. However, she did not find the medicine box there. Meanwhile, the blood on his hands was. At night, Lisa, who just came home and saw Ginny sleeping on the sofa, she immediately walked over to her. The two eyes were watching Ginny's face carefully, even so close. This wild woman must be afraid. That's why she sleeps here, Lisa thought. Lisa put her briefcase on the table. She brushed the hair that covered Ginny's face. Then Lisa tried to lift his wife's body, to move it to the room. Let go, what do you want? Don't mess around. Lisa, let go, screams Ginny, struggling. Lisa lowered Ginny's body so roughly that she almost fell. However, Lisa quickly supported his wife's body. Who wants to mess with you? I just want to move you to a room. Besides, why are you sleeping here? Lisa asked, annoyed. I'm waiting for you because I'm worried it's late, but haven't come home yet. I usually go home in the afternoon, Ginny said innocently until Lisa was silent. She was worried about me and waited for me to come home until he fell asleep on the couch. Lisa thought, feeling happy alone. I'm not a kid anymore, so you don't have to worry about me, Lisa replied, then took the briefcase that she had put on the table and was about to leave Ginny. Wait, Ginny said, stopping Lisa's footsteps. Especially, Lisa asked with a face that was not calm at all. Have you made up with Sammy? I hope you're not too harsh on her, said Jenny slowly. Hearing Ginny's words, Lisa immediately raised her eyebrows so sharply. She was so angry and didn't like what Ginny had just said. "Don't you ever interfere in my business," Lisa snapped and left Ginny. When Lisa went into the bathroom to clean her body, she saw hot water available for her to take a bath, which his wife had definitely prepared. She smiled happily. After bathing, Lisa lay down her body, which she felt so tired, on the bed. Ginny was seen approaching him and brought tea for her. Lisa also went to the sofa to enjoy her tea. However, when Ginny handed the cup to Lisa, Lisa accidentally saw a wound on Ginny's finger. Lisa quickly took her cup. "Your hand is hurt. Why did it hurt?" Lisa asked, holding Ginny's hand. "It's okay, really. Just a small wound from being hit by shards of broken glass. I've already treated it too," replied Ginny, who immediately took her hand away from Lisa. "Give me your hand," asked Lisa to extend her right hand. "It's all right, Lisa," Jenny said, hiding his hand. "Come here quickly," Lisa ordered while frowning. Forcibly, Ginny gave her hand to Lisa, and Lisa started to see Ginny's wound, which was still wet. "You careless. This wound must be closed so it doesn't get dust. Wait here for a moment," asked Lisa and left her place. "No need, Lisa. If you close it, it will dry for a long time," rejected Jenny. Lisa ignored Ginny's words. She started to rummage through her room looking for a medicine box. Then she found a medicine box in the corner of her cupboard. Lisa reached for the medicine box and took out the plaster and also the red medicine. Then she approached his wife again. "Lisa, if you close it, it will take a long time to dry," said Ginny sadly. "Can you shut up?" disappointed Lisa, while knitting her eyebrows. Ginny complied to let her husband treat his wound. Ginny's heart was so messed up when she watched Lisa from such a close distance. She even unconsciously looked at Lisa's lips while swallowing her. After Lisa treated Ginny's wound, she immediately rested. But not with Jenny. The woman walked towards the kitchen to get a drink because she felt his throat was so dry. Ginny, who was already in the kitchen, was suddenly surprised because all the lights in her house went out by itself to make the room that was currently pitch black. "Lisa!" Jenny shouted in fear. "Lisa, can you come here? It's so dark in here, I'm very scared." Screams again. She walked slowly as his hands roamed around in his reach. "Lisa!" screams back. "Lisa, can you come here, please?" Ginny said, as if she didn't have the energy anymore because she was already filled with her own fear and even trembled. "Noisy, shut up, I heard," said Lisa curtly. Lisa walked over to Ginny with a lamp in her right hand. She brought the lamp closer to Ginny until Lisa clearly saw his wife's frightened face. When Lisa approached her, Ginny didn't hesitate to hug her husband's body tightly because she was afraid. She didn't think about anything other than hugging Lisa tightly. "Come on, don't be like a child. Let me take you to the room first. I'm going to the back of the house to check the electric fuse," Lisa said softly. "No, I'm very afraid of being in my own room." "I'll just go with you," Jenny asked, who was still hugging Lisa's body even so tightly. "You coward," Lisa replied with a small smile. "If you hug me like this, then how can I walk?" "Let go," Lisa's command. Ginny slowly let go of her hug that hooked her hand on Lisa's arm. The two of them walked to the electrical panel, which was at the back of the house. Shit, it looks like the lights are out from the center, Lisa said with an annoyed chuckle. If the lights go out from the center, why is there only a few of our neighbors' houses that have blackouts? Ginny asked after seeing a few houses that were still light. Maybe they use a generator. Never mind, let's just go in. I am very sleepy, asked Lisa while yawning. In fact, her eyes look watery. But it's very dark in the house, Jenny said in the lowest tone. Then why is it dark when you want to sleep here? Lisa snapped by looking at Ginny so sharply. Yes, no, but at least we wait until the lights come back on, replied Ginny while shaking her head weakly. It's like there's no work. Well, you just wait here until the light comes on. I'll go in and sleep. I'm so sleepy. Ignore Lisa. Lisa was about to leave Ginny, but Ginny pulled Lisa's hand until she stopped for a moment. Wait, Lisa, I'm coming, said Jenny. Lisa, who felt so tired, he did not hesitate to lay down on the bed. So is Jenny. She also lay down next to Lisa. Jenny had a hard time closing her eyes. His heart felt anxious, as if uncomfortable. His eyes darted around the dark corner of the room. Lisa, called Jenny. Lisa, are you asleep? Said Jenny slowly. She's already asleep, Ginny muttered while looking at Lisa. Ginny shifted her body closer to Lisa so that they touched each other. Then Ginny quickly pulled the blanket over her whole body.